I still feel so good in this filter.
I
Whenever I
love
opened
it.
up my Zoom, I was like, oh, there we
I
are.
kind of forgot that
Refresh.
it's stay, the settings stay.
I didn't because it
Yeah,
adjusted. It made my skin look smoother.
there you go.
If you guys want to see, go watch us on YouTube. And you really should watch this part because I feel like Chip is about to lose his shit. Is that right? I can't
I mean,
even
I
believe
kind
you're
of
able
lost it
to
already. I
right
can't believe
now.
that I didn't notice. It's been there for a day. I didn't notice it until
Oh
right now.
my. Oh my. Do you want to tell the
But
listeners, clue
I
them in?
mean, Dax Shepard liked my comment. I don't even know what else to
Well, let's
add.
okay. So you commented on one of Dax's pictures. And if anybody
Yes.
is new to the podcast, there has been a long-term obsession for Chip with Dax Shepard. You were the
Hmm.
probably number one fan of the armchair
I'm a
experts.
cherry. I'm an
Is that a
armcherry. An
oh
armcherry, yeah.
that's I didn't even know the name. Okay, but he
Yeah.
was definitely an arm I can't say that word,
Or
armcherry.
arm.
Armcherry.
Armcherry.
And you have always had kind of like a friend crush, I would say. It's not like you're like have a crush on Dax,
No,
but
I
you
mean I
like
know
want to be
it's
his friend.
I want to be his friend so bad.
Yeah. So what did you
And
comment?
they bought property. They have a house in like Hendersonville, I think now. Like
Well,
they've spent a lot of time in Nashville this summer.
me and all the old listeners know because you've been talking about this for years.
But they're finally here and he keeps posting stuff. But
Um,
anyway, he posted a photo the other day of they had Shaq on their podcast and it's a
yeah.
photo of him, Monica, and Shaq. And Dax is a big dude.
Yeah,
Like
but Shaq is a giant.
he makes Dax look like it's his little son, and then
Yeah.
Monica looks like Shaq's holding a doll. And I just commented, I'm gonna tell my kids this is AI. And he
Yeah.
liked it.
And he liked it.
Ah!
Do you think it was him or do you think
I
someone runs his
do.
social media? Okay.
I think it's him. I believe it's him.
Have you gone and
Um,
seen if he likes everyone's
he does not
comments?
like everyone's comment.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Mhm.
So what's next for you? I mean, what's next in
Well,
life?
I
Are
already
you
talked. So his Kristen's publicist, I know because
sure?
he
Hmm.
works in music stuff, and I've told him about my man crush, and he was like, "Oh, next time they're in town, I'll introduce y'all." And I haven't taken him up on it, but like I might have to send
I was
the
gonna say maybe send
publicist
the
a
screenshot
screenshot and
and
be
say
like,
your
"Hey, it's
services
on.
are no
Don't
longer
worry, I've already
needed.
done it. We're friends."
Your services will no longer be needed
Yeah,
except to actually introduce me. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
Like, let's make it happen.
yeah, well, maybe you're just laying the groundwork because, like, sometimes if someone hits you up on social media, you don't know if you can trust if they're not like a freak or a weirdo or a stalker or something. But, like, you're
Yeah,
laying the groundwork. So maybe
yeah.
he'll notice you and then the friend can come in and introduce you
He'll
guys.
be like, "You're the dude that made the AI comment. That was
He'll remember for
hysterical."
sure. He'll remember. Dax only gets however many comments a day. He'll be
He
like,
only has
that was the
4.2
funniest.
million followers.
Yeah, that was the funniest comment I've ever read.
Ever, ever.
Well,
It
is your
only has one like too. Like none of the other people that follow him have liked it.
but it only has the most important like,
The most important
obviously. Do
like.
you care about anyone else?
Isn't it funny that like the serotonin that just him like hitting
Is
some
it
button and
dopamine or
probably not
serotonin?
him, maybe.
Mm,
It's highly likely that it's not. What that does to us.
the hit?
Yeah, they're like,
Well, talk us
oh.
through it. What's happening to you right
I
now?
mean, I'm just excited. I was like, holy shit,
Yeah.
like, and obviously I'm like, I work in this industry, so I get it too. And I really, truly like believe that probably it might not be him. It's probably a social media person doing it.
Right.
But I did notice, I looked to see if it's like every comment, and it's not. But that doesn't mean it's him. I just want to believe that it's him.
I was going to say, you already look immediately deflated as you say
But,
that.
but, um, I think it's harder for like someone who is just like a fan of whatever celebrity, whether it's a singer or whatever, to believe that it's not them. You know?
Yeah. Well, what was so interesting to me, like back when I was like way more active on social media and I was on the show and stuff, like people would always say, I know you're never gonna see this in your DMs. And I was like, I fucking see everything.
I see it
I
all.
don't like I don't know, and I mean I don't have millions of followers, obviously, but like if you're actively because I had a blog at the time too. So like you are engaging with people constantly. And yes, I had an assistant that helped me run that. But for the most part, I saw pretty much everything. Like you see the comments coming in and the DMs coming in, some of them you're not able to respond to, but like you don't miss stuff as much as I think people think you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I definitely I always check my random requests.
Hmm.
Not like, I'm not constantly checking them, but the program knows the difference between like a legit message and,
Hmm.
hey, buy my yarn, blah, blah, like the
Oh
weird things.
yeah,
They separate those out. So, I take the time to like look for
sure.
people that are just sliding in. Shit, I
Mm.
might meet my husband that way.
Well, look, your
I
besties
think,
with that
I mean,
Dax
my
that
bestie
way,
just liked
so
my comment. So
just
why isn't my
shows a
husband
little.
responding?
Yeah, exactly. He's next. He's next. I
Yeah.
feel it. Maybe Dax
Yeah.
will introduce you to somebody.
Maybe.
That would be a full circle moment.
God. And then Dax could marry us.
Oh my God, because he's
Just
ordained.
speaking things into the universe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
there you go. Anyway, Chip's Day is made, maybe week, maybe life, maybe year. I don't know. All of
Yeah.
the things. We were texting a lot today, and obviously we talked earlier because you did go listen to the Bonnie Hammer podcast. And if you guys
Hmm.
haven't listened to the Wednesday podcast yet, I had former vice chair of NBC Universal, Bonnie Hammer, on. She was amazing. Like I learned so much. I was kind of geeking out because she got on the podcast and she obviously like I was on a show that was on in under an NBC Universal umbrella. And so we did a lot of stuff with them. Like I would go do different events and stuff like that. And she knew who I was from the show. And she actually gave me really good feedback because like when you're on a reality TV show, I don't think that you feel all the time, or maybe it's me because I know so much of the backside of the entertainment industry. Like, I didn't necessarily feel like that was the most respected industry within TV. Like,
Right.
does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
there's
totally.
big actors and movie people and producers and all these things. And so reality TV can sometimes look at as like you're sort of like, do they respect me at all? And she was telling me such positive feedback of like, you did it the way it was supposed to be done. Like you go in, you do a little bit, you don't stay, you're not a lifer. Like that's a different type of person. And that just was so validating to me. Because that experience, obviously, I've had not the most positive
Right.
feedback, or like
Right.
I don't speak about it as positively. And I've always kind of looked at it as, oh God, that really was not the right move, but it taught me so much. And after my conversation with her, I was like, there's no mistakes in life. Like then the things that happen in our careers and our lives and our relationships, they do all lead you to the next thing if you use them for growth. And that
Right.
was such a growth moment for me on all kinds of different levels. And I can look at it now and say that. And then having that feedback from her, a person who I was just kind of in awe of, honestly. Like I kind of was geeking out. It's kind of funny
Hmm.
who will really like shock me and make me nervous to talk to, but she was one of them. And it was because I just respected her career so much. And then after our conversation, I even loved her even more. So what did you take from the
Well,
conversation?
first of all, I kind of expected her to have lived in Los Angeles, but she's a New Yorker.
Right.
Just because I can envision the NBC Universal building in Studio City. So I was thinking she was LA based. But then I'm listening to her, and she reminded me so much of my first boss, whose name was Vicky,
Okay.
at Atlantic Records in New York, and she was a New Yorker. And they had, Vicky had been at the time. I started working at Atlantic in '94. She had been working at Atlantic at that point for 20 some years, and had come up in that business. And she was like a tough cookie. Like a lot of people were really scared of her, but like I was her assistant, so I got to know her really well on a personal level too. And there was a sensitive side to her that I got to see.
Mm,
And I don't know that it was as thought out as the way that Bonnie talked about it, because Bonnie said in the podcast that the pandemic happened, she had a lot more free time because she wasn't commuting 4 hours a
right.
day, and that gave her the opportunity to write the book because she had the time to think about it. And it was she wrote it from a more reflective place. Like some of the stuff that she learned, she didn't realize she had learned until she sat back and reflected.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I think that's probably the case with Vicky too. Like she didn't know exactly why she was operating the way that she was operating, but I think she operated similarly as
As a
Bonnie
leader.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a leader. I mean, it was like she was tough. You wouldn't cross her, but she also was sensitive. She cheered us on. Like a win for me was a win for her. She promoted me several times. Like when someone tried to poach me, she wouldn't let me. Like she made me feel really important. She made me feel
Mm,
seen. I mean, I call her my
valued.
second. I'm still friends with her. I call her
Really?
my second mother. Yeah, we still text and share memes and yeah. I mean, I think my career would be very different if it weren't for her. So listening to the Bonnie thing, it made me love and miss Vicky and fall in love with Bonnie. And it's like I've had a lot of I know that the book is specifically women, and she said that she wanted it to be more broad, but her publisher was like, we have to market this. So
Yeah.
it's like you make it about women, but I've had a lot of female leadership in my career. And, so I can't speak that strongly to like what it's like to have a male leader because most of my bosses have been female.
Mm.
And even when I was at Atlantic, most of the department heads were female. Like the C-suite was all men, but like all the SVPs were women, which
Oh,
was
that's
really
interesting.
interesting.
That is interesting.
Because at the end of the day, they're the ones the SVPs are the ones running the show, you know.
Yeah.
The C-suite is making a lot of the decisions that, inform them on how to run the show, but like the day-to-day operations are happening from the SVPs down. And so I have a ton of respect for women in power. I've learned a lot from them. So it was awesome to hear, Bonnie's journey and her evolution and what she's
Mm.
gleaned from that. So I
Yeah.
really liked her. Like
Yeah.
I texted Kelly this morning and I was like, you should ask her to be your mentor. Like,
God, I mean, that would be a dream.
yeah.
Truly. I mean, I just have so much respect for her. And the same that you're saying, I learned so much just in that conversation in general. One, from the perspective of how she got to where she was and just the striving and having to, kind of develop that tough skin. And I think
Hmm.
that's a mixed bag these days because there's so much going on with HR. We were talking about this a little bit on the podcast. I don't know if you heard her say that, but like, in 2025, obviously, you can't get away with a whole lot, like saying the things that we used to hear all the time or acting the way that we used to act or be treated. And that's good on so many levels. Like there were things that needed to be put into place. And there is this other part of it that's like, well, people are getting so soft that everything offends everybody,
Right.
and we don't know how to take constructive criticism anymore. And in Bonnie's explanation of that, I actually realized that, I've faced a lot of those kind of bosses in my younger days, or even like my basketball coach when I was in high school. And it did help me to really kind of get more disciplined, learn, how to keep going with my drive, to really stand in my truth on certain things. And so there is sort of this thing to say for the tough boss that's going to challenge you, I guess. Like I
Right.
posted
Yeah.
something today even about her talking about that piece of it. Like if you just have just the cheerleader, it's not always even to your benefit because you need feedback, you need constructive criticism, you need all of those things. And so I loved hearing about her journey through that with her mentor, but then also her reflection back after being a leader for so many years and
Yeah.
how so much of what she ended up ending her career with was kindness, empathy, the team mentality, wanting to work together and build each other up, giving constructive feedback, but also making sure to also honor and value the people and what they were giving to the team. And I just think that's such a holistic approach to leadership that is very difficult to find, but also very difficult to encompass as a leader.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
loved the moment that she said something about for the women on her team, she let them, if they had
Yeah.
kids, they didn't have to come into the office on Friday.
The
And if,
maternity,
yeah, and
was it
if they,
maternity leave or
and
just
no, it
kids
was
in
just like in
general?
general, like if you
Oh,
had
wow.
children, you did not have to work on, like you had to get your work done.
So you didn't have to be
Also, she
in the
was like, if you need to go
office.
to a soccer game, go to the soccer game and don't feel like you need to lie to me and act like you're in a meeting.
Right.
Tell me you're going to the soccer game.
Yeah.
And but get your work done.
Mm,
And it fostered like she was like that didn't scare people away. It actually made them want to stay. And
100%.
and
Yeah.
it because that fosters a team mentality. You know, it's
Hmm.
like if your goal as a leader is to only have your team be successful when they're in your building, you're not looking at them as human beings. You're not looking at them as whole human beings.
Hmm.
You're looking at them as an ingredient to get your goals done. And I
Wow,
think
that's such a good point.
if you can think of them as a whole human being that needs to show up and be excited to be there and be excited to be a part of your team and to help you succeed by them succeeding, then that sounds like a ship that rises with the tides, you know? Like,
Yeah. Well, and it probably
um,
depends on the kind of person you are, though, because if you're a workaholic who just only cares about work, who doesn't have a family, who doesn't want to do anything but build the business, that's probably what you're going to expect from the people who work under you.
yes,
But if you want to be treated as a whole person, then you do have to kind of take that into consideration with your employees. But it's hard,
it's
like
hard.
we were talking before the podcast, and when I've had assistants who work for me or the team that was running the Velvet's Edge blog with me and stuff, like it is very difficult because as the leader, you have so much more on your plate than anybody realizes. And you're managing people and you're managing all of like those factors that you just mentioned. Like if somebody gets sick or whatever, all the responsibility falls on you. So I just remember feeling like, wow, this is a lot harder to balance being kind, being considerate of another human being, and also getting my needs met that I need them
Right.
to do from their job. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And what I
Yeah.
needed off my plate so that I could do my part of the job. And at the end of the day, when you're in the leadership position, you do get a lot more praise maybe, but also so much more falls on you. So it's like I see the hard line and like I think her mentality of the team winning is probably helpful for even that piece that I just said because then maybe people want to work a little bit harder or maybe you don't have to get all the praise or the detriment stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
it's just a
it's kind of
lot
like, to give it a sports analogy, because, everyone
because
knows I
you
love
love
sports
sports
ball.
ball.
It's like if the quarterback only wanted to run the ball all the time and didn't throw it to anybody.
Right.
Like that was his tactic to win every game
That's not going to
versus being
work.
like, I've got an amazing defense, I've got an amazing offense, and I'm
Wow.
going to let all of them work to the best of their ability so that I can be the best quarterback I can be.
Right.
Then it's exciting because everyone's contributing to the win.
And at the end of the game, everybody was a
Everyone
part
gets
of that win.
celebrated. Yeah.
Yes.
So, it is
That's a
true
really
that
good analogy.
you
I'm so
could
proud
be,
of you.
can you believe
Like,
that?
I
You're
really
like, I
can't,
didn't even know you knew
honestly.
what a
Did you
quarterback
know? I
was.
mean, I knew quarterback probably because you probably think they're cute, but like,
Yeah.
I'm like, you just mentioned a
I love
running
their
back too. That
uniforms.
was a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I'm sure most people have had that fucking asshole boss that you work for that you just do because you don't want to put up with their reaction to anything. And when I think back to those moments, if I'm placating a boss because I'm scared of a reaction, I am just going to get it done,
Mm,
but I'm not going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm going to get it done so that I don't have to deal with a negative reaction. And, but I would much rather have someone look at my work and be like, holy fucking shit, you knocked this out of the park. And in order for me to do things at the best of my ability, I have to rely on my teammates.
mm,
And then that like I'm because I can't do everything myself and
yeah.
sort of in any situation. So I would have relied on everyone and helped manage everybody to like get this thing to be amazing so that the boss freaks out. And then it is a team win.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're dealing with that asshole, I'm like, I'm just gonna get this fucking done and move on. And then where's the heart in that? Like,
Hmm.
that's not success.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you remember this part, but she was talking about her mentor. I cannot remember his name, maybe Barry
Barry Diller.
Diller. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And he was talking about a show she presented about the psychic medium John Edwards, who I also
Hmm.
love. I'm dying to get him on the podcast. Maybe I'll get Bonnie to hook us
Call your
up.
mentor Bonnie.
I know. But yeah, so I think that she was talking about she had brought the show idea to him with John Edwards and he challenged it. And what I liked about that in correlation to what you just said is him challenging her and then her standing up for it gave her more investment in it.
Right.
I find that I'm more motivated if I feel really invested in something. And if I feel like I'm just going through the motions to please another person, like you said, it's hard for me to find as much
Passion.
passion, excitement, drive, because you're just full, it's a paycheck then, you know?
Right.
Whereas, like, if you feel some ownership to it at the end of the day, there's so much more connection. You're so much more passionate. You give so much more of yourself, your energy, all of the things. And then it's so much more satisfying at the end, too. And I felt like she really kind of had learned the ways to get that herself, but also to give that to her team.
Right. Yeah. And I also think too, like, if the first way that you look at something is the only way that you're willing to go about doing it, whether it's a television show or writing a
Right.
script or baking a fucking pie,
Yeah.
then you're probably not looking for the full experience of like learning through your experience of whatever it is that you're doing because you're not willing to be challenged. And that's
Mm,
where you learn and grow is when you hit a wall and you're like, wait, oh, I need to think about this differently, or I need to look at it from another side, or maybe this isn't the right fit, or whatever it is. Because otherwise, you're just looking for the easy out on everything. Like, and that's no fun, like
right. Well,
at the
because
end of the
you
day, of
get
course,
bored
we
with it
want our lives to
eventually.
be easy, but
Yeah.
like challenges are not necessarily a bad thing. It's like where we get better.
I think what we get a little off with work is like, I remember when I first, I remember when I first graduated college, I think you're in college and everyone's kind of like pumping you up, like, oh, you're going to be so great at that. Or have all these wins. And by the time you graduate, there's all these people under you too. And I was in a sorority. So you kind of like, are the mentor for the younger kids. And I remember like getting to Nashville and being like, why does nobody give a fuck? Like, what?
Right.
Like, I'm amazing, guys. Don't you know?
I
Like,
have a little sister.
yeah. But then I think it's like we have this expectation when we're younger that you're just gonna walk in and know how to do everything and like be as amazing as you were at school and in these smaller ponds. And then you get out into the big pond and you realize like the older you get, you start to kind of go, I don't know shit.
Right.
Like I just that has been the biggest helper in my life is to realize that life is this ever evolving wheel that we're on, and you're just kind of always growing and always learning, and you're never going to know everything. Also, like you're not expected to, as much
Right.
pressure as we put on ourselves, like that wouldn't be right either. So, I guess where I was going with that was just to say that if you can't take constructive criticism, then you're never going to grow. And also, like, you're only holding yourself back from where you want to go,
Yeah.
probably, if you can't look at it that way. But what I
Hmm.
do really believe is that there's a difference between like an abusive environment and constructive criticism. So, and that's what's weird about this frame where it's like in 2025 you can't say anything, but back in the day
No.
you could probably say too much. So, I don't know. I don't really know which one's better. I wish we could find some middle ground somewhere.
Well, I mean, it's just as simple as like, ugh, you idiot. Like, that is a dumb idea. Would never fly today. You know what I
But should
mean?
it? That's like if anyone's giving an idea, is that actually helpful feedback? Probably not.
No, but I also
Maybe
think,
finding the holes in it.
yeah, but I also think too that like that is also just a very easy like first way to phrase something. Like that's stupid. Like let's look at it this way. Also does not mean like you're stupid.
See, I would
And I'm
hear that as you're stupid.
yeah, and look, trust me, I probably would too, but I'm, thinking back to like the way that people used to talk and the way that people talk now, I survived that. Like
Yeah.
it's not, and it didn't breed that in me. I would never use that language. I also have, you know, prided myself on not being stupid. I also have suffered from like wanting people to think that I know how to do everything or that I know
Mm,
everything. And
mm-hmm.
I hate the feeling of not knowing everything, even though I know it's realistic to not.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean the whole HR piece of it is really interesting because I do think it is forcing people to be a different kind of leader now.
Mm,
And it's breeding softness in the workplace.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I used to fear getting fired every day. And I don't know why. I don't have that fear now. But as a younger person, and I think maybe it was because like I was doing exactly what knew I wanted to do. So it was like the idea of like losing the opportunity was what drove me to try and be excellent.
Well, you're also in a different stage of your career though, because now
That
you're
is
more
true.
established. So, like, if you lost this job, you would have connections to
I
go
would
find
figure out
another. Whereas
something.
back
Yeah.
in the day, you don't, you probably like that was your one shot, you
Right.
know?
Right.
I just think there's a balance. Like, I think it's as a leader, what I really grow from is someone who has high expectations of me, that does have
Hmm.
that, gives me feedback when it's not, when I don't meet the expectations, but also values me enough and I know it. So they're telling me also when it is, you're getting the positive feedback as well, or the value is shown to you in some different kind of way. Like you're acknowledged in some sort of way. Like I think we all need that. Like we need to feel seen and appreciated.
Yeah.
But I do think it's still like we're still kind of sorting out, I think, what the line is, because I
Right.
think it's like we've swung to this opposite end of the pendulum right now, and we need to kind of figure out how are we going to benefit ourselves the most with growth, with actually like getting the job done, and with not just being totally abusive to people so that they're in a
Right.
terrible state in their life.
Well, really, truly constructive criticism would be delivered in a way that recognizes that you're capable of actually doing what they're asking you to do. You just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So, it's not like
That's why I'm saying you
constructive
can't be like,
criticism
you
wouldn't be like, you
idiot.
fucking idiot. You're never
Yeah.
going to do this. Ugh, get out of my way. Like, that's
Right.
not constructive. But to be like, that's stupid. Why don't you think about it this way? Is not necessarily an insult. It's just the wrong choice of words.
Yeah,
You know what
maybe
I
just
mean?
leave out
Like,
stupid though. Why do you keep going
I
back to
don't
that
know. Like,
example? You really want to get in idiot and stupid somewhere. So we see the kind of boss
maybe
you
I've
would
been
be.
called that at some point. I don't know.
Well, I think you can give feedback in the ways like challenging is not bad,
Right.
especially if you're in a leadership position, like if you've been in the business longer than me and you see a hole in something I'm doing, I do appreciate that. Like I
Totally.
actually appreciate feedback, but I'm a person that also really wants to grow. And so like if there's something you see that I could do better, I always want to know. Like
Right.
that's just
Right.
how I've been wired forever. But when I don't understand and you're just being a dick about it, that's when it's like, what does this help anybody? Because then I get too scared to show up at all. Like it's like
R-
I can't
Oh, that's
function
so
at
funny.
all. Yeah,
That brings up, I just started watching, do you know the show The Rehearsal?
I do not.
Okay. It's a second season, is on HBO Max. I just started watching it last night. I couldn't watch the first season. It's with this comedian named Nathan Felder. The second season is very different. The first season was each episode was about a specific subject. This one is he studied airplane crashes throughout history, and he noticed from the data and the flight recordings that the thing that they all had in common was that the captain, the co-pilot, was too scared to speak up to the captain,
See?
and and um and it's so interesting. Like apparently he like gets his pilot license throughout this whole season. But he found this guy that used to run the NTSB, and it has gotten him involved. And he's like an older gentleman, and he says something to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I think that there's a lack of training in the." I don't know, pilot school or whatever it is where these people learn the shit. That doesn't they don't focus enough on the co-pilot also being in
Having a
command of the
voice.
plane.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have tapes where they listen to like what was happening in the cockpit before these crashes, and like some of them are it's like, a male captain and a female co-pilot where he's like saying things that are really like out of line. And it's
Mm.
diminished her to where the fact that she's too scared to say something when her fucking life is on the line.
That's insane.
It's
But I
crazy.
get it. I mean, I do believe that it can be crippling when
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying the words idiot and stupid are probably not going
Right.
to
Yeah.
go very
I
well.
get that.
Yeah, because it just like that would make someone feel like I don't want to speak up because I'm going to be reprimanded in this way that makes me feel so terrible. Like, why
Yeah.
would I want to keep walking into the fire? So I think anyway, I think all of this is way trickier to navigate than we're making it sound right now, which is why I had so much respect, just to circle back to Bonnie, for her. Like, I have so much
Right.
respect for someone in a leadership position who is a great leader because I think that is such a high skill set that not everyone can do. I really do.
Right.
Like I
Yeah.
just it's very admirable to me to see a really great leader. So she was
Well,
one of them.
it also sounded like, when Barry would challenge her,
Hmm.
he didn't always win.
Well,
Like
he backed down if
the
she had an
challenge wasn't
answer.
just to be challenging. It was because he saw holes, and then it would mean that she would have to go think about her position, and she could come back and challenge him. And there were definitely times where she won the fight.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
that's the important piece, right? Like if in your co-pilot analogy or story, it's like if the co-pilot had spoken up and been had positive feedback from that sometimes, or it had been the right thing and they said, "Yeah, thanks for saying that, you're right," or
Yeah.
whatever. That's the thing that then when the shit hits the fan or they're noticing something that could actually be potentially dangerous, they would then have the confidence to stand up.
Right.
So anyway,
Right.
it's a fine line to walk. If anyone out there is listening that's in this leadership position, mad respect to you. I think that it's a huge, huge position, and it's a lot easier said than done. So Bonnie is amazing. If you do want to go check out that podcast that was up on Wednesday, she wrote a book called 15 Lies Women Are Told at Work and the Truth We Need to Succeed. And I love the way she structured this book. I mean, we talked about it a little bit on Wednesday and I gave you you guys the one example, but Chip and I went through all 15 and we picked our two top favorites each because I want you to see, first of all, how she structured this book so you can know what the layout is. But these things rung so true to me because they are so easily said in our world. Like they're just common phrases that we hear all the time and don't even notice we're hearing them. And I think she is so right that they're inaccurate often, you know? And so
Yeah.
she kind of busts the myths and then she comes in with these truths. So I want to know, Chip, what were the two that really stood out to you? Because let's talk about them.
Um, well, first of all of them rang true.
Okay.
Um, but the number six is fake it till you make it, and the truth to that is face it till you make it.
Okay.
And the reason why that one spoke to me was because I am a people pleaser,
Hmm.
and I often catch myself faking it until I make it.
So saying yes when you maybe don't
Yeah,
answer a
like being,
question or,
I even will catch myself in a conversation where someone's like, blah blah blah, Linda Johnson, Linda, right? And I'll be like, yeah,
and you
I don't know
don't.
fucking Linda, like, and I don't know why I said yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it makes
Yeah.
no sense to me. But then I'll go fucking Google Linda Johnson and
You're
figure
like,
out who
who's
she is.
Linda?
Who's Linda? I'm like, yeah, well, good old Linda. I love that curly hair. And they're like, she's bald.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I catch myself faking it until I make it, and it has worked for me in the past. But I also think that I can see how in those moments I'm not growing. Like it doesn't.
Mm.
I'm avoiding the uncomfortable of just being like, no, I don't know her. Who's Linda?
And ask
And
the
because it
question,
makes me
right?
look like I don't know something, and like, of
Mm.
course, I can't know every person in the world. So
Right.
I loved seeing this because it's like I feel like I got a lesson from it. Like, face it until you make
Face
it,
it. That's what she
because
says.
it's
Okay.
like, what good is faking it? Like, even in my example with Linda Johnson, like, so then I go away from the conversation and I've learned who Linda Johnson is. Like, what's the value in that? Like,
Also, you're setting yourself up for so much embarrassment later. Because what if that person goes to Linda and they're like, "Oh, you know Chip Dorish," and they're like, "Who?"
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I do think the moral of that Linda Johnson story is like, it is okay to not know everything. You
You
do not
can't
have to,
know
you
everything. That's the
don't have to
thing.
fake anything.
Right.
You can be, I mean, it's like, there was a time when I didn't know how to walk. I didn't know how to
Mm.
ride a bike. I didn't know how
Yeah.
to wipe my own ass.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You learn these things. And if you face things, you can face them with curiosity and passion and zest and actually like walk away learning something rather
Totally.
than just faking your way through a conversation just to feel comfortable.
Yes. And like it was so interesting because as you were talking, I was thinking about people that I respect in business in general, and they are the most curious people consistently across the board. The people that I respect the most stay curious.
Yeah.
So they're always learning, they're always willing to learn more. And that comes from asking questions. And
Yeah.
it also, it's like, that doesn't have to mean either that you're bad at your job. Like if there's certain things that you don't know, you can say, I don't know that, but I'm going to go research that and get back to you. Or like that was one of the tricks somebody taught me along the way was just to say, I'm going to go look it
I'll
up
get
and
back
I'll
to you
get
on it.
back to
Yeah.
you. Like we don't have to do everything with such urgency all the time that I think we feel pressured to. So like it was helpful to me to have that little saying kind of in the back pocket because yeah, you don't want to look stupid or that you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
But it's same with I'm like that because like for instance with my job with hair and makeup, there is a new makeup product or a new hair product. I mean every fucking day,
Yeah.
right?
One, there's a million probably every
Exactly.
day.
There's just so many. And so it's impossible to keep up with all of the new products that come out all the time. But I used to feel like if I didn't know every single one in someone, especially someone like not in the business, like just a regular person that wears makeup would bring something up to me about how much they love it and I didn't know what it was. I was like, "Oh my God, that would show that I am not good at my job or something." But the reality is like I have now been doing this job so long that I have found so many of my
The products that
favorites.
work for you.
Yeah, and like the truth is like recently even this has come up with some people in my agency like cuz we'll be co-collaborating on something like working together on a job and they'll ask me questions about my mixtures and I was like, "Oh my God, I created my own fucking makeup." So like
Right.
it's just crazy that I would let that make me feel so downplayed, if that makes sense, instead of being like, oh, I've actually made my own concoction that I love using on guys, and this is why. And then talking about it from that experience, or learning about something new that might do the same thing as this concoction that I created, like it's just this ever evolving thing. And I think the more that we can feel confident in our own skin and stay curious to keep learning more because every job is ever evolving as far as I know, at least in this age it is. Then yeah, like just what does she say? Face the what is it?
Face it until you
Fake
make
it,
it.
face it until you make it. I just love that because
Yeah.
I think that's a very inspirational way to do it. Okay,
Hmm.
what's your other one?
My other one is myth number 9, which is good things come to those who wait.
Okay.
And the truth to that is great things come to those who act.
Mm,
And I can from experience say that that is just the truth. There is the truth. I mean, I was just a little kid in Bird's Virginia, who had a dream of working in the music business, and I didn't know how to do that. And that's funny because she talked on the podcast about follow your dreams, but she said the truth to that is follow your opportunities.
right.
And I had a dream, but I had no idea how I was going to make it happen. And then I met somebody who opened a portal and
Mm-hmm.
I followed the opportunity. So that one really
Mm-hmm.
rang true to me. But this is also, it plays into that because I could have just met that person and not, she said, "Hey, do you want to do this thing for me?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll do that." And I was willing to do anything I could for free. I took action to make my dream come true. And then suddenly it wasn't a dream, it was a reality that I then had proven to myself that action makes things happen.
Right.
And so now I live a life of action when it comes to my work. Like, I mean, it's if there's a client that I want to sign or work with, like, I can't just sit there and wait for them to discover me. I'd have to go after them.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there's an opportunity that I want for one of my artists, I can't wait for that opportunity just to come to the artist. I have to go make that happen, whether that's through relationship building or force. And so it is funny to think that, like, we sit back and say, good things come to those who wait.
I know. I wonder who created that.
I mean, that is the most bullshit line I've ever heard in my life. And you know how many times I've probably said it?
Mm.
Just as like a quip to say, like, someone will be like, "I never thought I would get married at 56." I'm like, well, good things come to those who wait. No, you
No, she
probably could have.
probably went on a
Yeah,
journey before that
right.
got her to that place or him to that place or whatever. I think good things come to those who wait could be a good mentality if you are working really hard on something day to day and it's not quite clicking at first.
Right.
Like keep going and see, but it
But
still
that's
involves
action. That's not
action. It's
waiting.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like I just don't know that like you can ever sit back or sit on your couch and just think something's going to plop in. It's like we used to say this about dating apps. Remember, it was like none of us really wanted to be on dating apps, but how else do you meet people nowadays? And if you're just sitting at home bitching about not being in a relationship, like that ain't the way you're gonna find it. What do you think? Like some stork is gonna come drop off Prince Charming? Like that's
Yeah.
not how this works.
Yeah.
No, I really like that too. And I've had a very similar experience in my life. And I love that you mentioned like the working for free, being willing to show up and do the hard work, because I think that's how we came up in the industry.
Yeah.
And that's a bit different now too. Like there's an expectation that you should just rise to the top because you can go viral on TikTok these days, you know?
Yeah.
And like I think that's kind of playing out interestingly though, because it is backfiring in a lot of situations. So just being willing to like follow what opportunities come your way is that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I would say.
Well, I think any successful business or you know, effort, whatever it is, has to be built on a strong foundation. You know,
Yeah.
it's things that happen really quickly tend to be fleeting. And that's not to say, like, look, if something great starts happening, don't lean into it, but know that, like, along the way, you have to, like, think about what the foundation is,
Yes.
whether it's a career, it's a piece of art, you know, a relationship, you know,
Hmm.
like, how many times have we fallen in love love at first sight? Like, yes, but if you just lean into that and don't like put anything underneath that, it's not going to be a long-term relationship.
Yeah, for sure. The
Yeah. So,
foundation has to be there. I agree with
yeah.
you. Okay, mine were myth number 2 says don't just know your worth, the truth being work on your worth. And I find that to be really helpful because people say that's like one of those flippant statements, right? It's just like, well, you got to know your worth. And it's just like, what does that even fucking mean? Like,
Right.
what does it mean? And do I not have my worth? Like, I just remember back in the day feeling like, well, I know my worth, or I whatever. But the truth is like, I didn't really have like a true sense of confidence and worth. I feel like I operated under this kind of false confidence or whatever, like you were talking about, even with acting like you know everything, like all of those things are fleeting and they're not real. And so if they get challenged, it can break you. Whereas if you're
Hmm.
working on your worth and looking at that as something that's ever evolving as well, like, there's times where it's just like you're so full and confident and deep in your bones your worth. Like you just know it and you're not going to sway from that. And then life happens and that can change and challenge that. And you got to keep working on it. And that's for me, it's a daily thing. Like, I start every morning with these certain affirmations that I do. And that's been so helpful for me. And I needed it. Like, it's not like I just wake up every morning just loving myself easily. Like, it's a challenge for me sometimes. And so,
Hmm.
and I think people are always surprised to hear that. But I think it's just like that we're all human and we all have, in my astrology, that makes sense if you
Hey,
know anything about
well,
your Chiron wound.
but I also think too, it's like, I don't think that we can just know our worth. Like, I think you have to literally work at everything and take note of your worth along the way. Because if it's as flippant as like know your worth, then if you can't describe what you're worth, like why you are worthy in certain situations, then you don't know your worth. And if you've
Or,
worked really hard at your worth
yeah.
and continue to like grow your worth, then you'll be able to be like, you need me for these reasons.
Yes, and also it's not necessarily because of the accomplishments or the job title or the blah blah blah, like the external thing. Like your worth comes from such a deeper place inside. And
Right.
it's because you fucking woke up in the morning and your name is Chip. Like
Right.
that makes you worthy. But you have to believe that. Like you have to know what you bring as a human being and what your insides are and what you can offer someone else. And then, yes, like you're saying, if someone asks you, you can tell them all the ways. But it's also like it doesn't matter if they agree with it or not because you're so worthy within yourself.
Yes.
But I used to think that if I built up all this stuff, then I would feel worthy.
That was
Like
your worth.
that
Yeah.
was it. If I could just get to this place, then I would feel like I belonged or I would feel like I
Mhm.
was worthy of being here or whatever. And just like the more imposter syndrome type feelings. And now it's like, I think if you lose things or you do that and then it goes away, like I think everyone probably experienced a level of that during COVID. I know we all
Mm-hmm.
did because it was like, your identity was challenged when your work goes away. It's just
Yeah.
like, who am I then? Because I've been defining myself by all these things. And so that was a big time where I had to really start working on my worth because I couldn't build it from external validation. Like the
Right.
worth had to come from within. And so anyway, that to me, that one was a really good one because it's just said so flippantly. And I just don't think that we can just poof, know our worth. Like it's a day-to-day thing and you just
Yeah.
work on it and it ebbs and flows throughout your life. And there's going to be highs of it and there's going to be lows of it. There's going to be days where it's easy and days where it's hard. And that's normal.
And you
Um,
know what? And sometimes you might not be worthy of that moment. And that's okay.
yeah. Oh, you're saying like if you got an
Or
opportunity or
whatever
something.
that moment is, it's like
Sure.
there are going to be moments where it's like you aren't worthy, and recognizing the fact that you aren't worthy probably is
Can
going
I
to save
re-say
you.
that though? It's not that you're not worthy because you're always worthy. Like worth to me is something of like a not external thing, but maybe you're not the right fit or
Right.
that's not the
Right.
right position or you
You
don't have
might
the
not
right skill
feel
set
worthy.
yet.
And I think it's important like to recognize that so that you know that you're making the right decisions for you, not because you want external validation from something is kind of what
Yeah.
I was getting at.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because that shows that you recognize your worth to be like, I really appreciate the offer, but that's not for me.
Hmm.
That's knowing your worth. And it might be like that I'm in over my head there. I don't want to do that.
When I started dating, after not the current relationship I'm in, but like after the last relationship I was in, I had hit such a bad low. That was maybe the lowest I've ever been in my life after that relationship because it was so toxic for me. But I um I remember going into dating and there was this guy who was so perfect on paper. Like any girl that met this guy would just be like, "Oh my God, he was very handsome. He had a really great job. He was so nice to me. He was funny. He was like easy to talk to. Everything seemed like it was there. And I could not click with him. Like in from
Yeah.
me. Like I think he clicked with me, but and it's like on paper we should have clicked perfectly. But I didn't feel the thing. And I remember that being such a moment of worth for me to know that I was worthy enough to walk away from this guy who everybody would probably be like, "What the fuck? You're gonna walk away from that?"
Right.
But that didn't mean that I was like, I don't know, that I wasn't good enough or I was messed up or whatever. It just wasn't the right fit. And like I didn't let it challenge who I was. We were just on different journeys in life. Like, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
That's been one of my big experiences in dating is like just really understanding like I'm worthy of the greatest love of all time just because I'm me and you are too, just because you're you. And we don't have to like compromise or not listen to ourselves, go against whatever because the external forces are there that would make us be like, oh, you got to
Right.
do this. You can't
Right.
walk away from that. You're
Right.
crazy. And then now look, I'm in the happiest relationship I've been in. So it was the right move.
There you go.
Which kind of leads me to my next one, which is trust your gut is the myth. And then the truth is check your gut. And I love this one because I think it gets thrown around so often. And I'm such a big talker about intuition. You guys know this, but like there's so many things when you're learning how to trust your intuition that can be factors. And the more I've learned about trauma and triggers and all of these pieces that come into our brains, like psychologically, it's so easy to confuse intuition and like a traumatic trigger.
Right.
So I think it's thrown around in our culture so often. Well, I'm just trusting my gut. I'm just going to follow my gut. And you're not always operating from a sound place. Like if you haven't done a lot of your work, or even if you have, like we're all so human that sometimes there can be these things coming in, like old narratives you didn't know you still believed, or a past experience could have gone terribly with something similar. So you're acting out of that place because your body hasn't release that trauma. And that's not actually what's happening in this situation. And so I always have found it to be so helpful as a part of like, since I've been working on my self journey, which is, I don't know, over a decade now of like the therapy and doing 12-step work and stuff, but like checking myself with someone like that, like checking yourself with someone who you
Mm-hmm.
trust, who is a safe place, who you can run by, what your gut is really screaming at you, and then make the decision. Like, I just really found that to be such an important part of my life and my
Mm-hmm.
journey. And I think so often, if we're just operating in a silo, we are going to make some decisions that are led by false narratives, by trauma from the past, and it's going to fuck up current situations. And I've been on the other side of that too. And that is a wild experience because you're like fighting a demon that isn't even there for you. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. Well, also too, let's not forget that like fear and excitement feel the same thing in our gut.
Right.
And so sometimes when we think that something really scary is coming, it's actually excitement, but we are talking ourselves out of it because we don't think we're worthy or whatever it is. And so you have to check your gut because you can be like, wait a minute. Why is my body telling me not to do this or is my body telling me to do this?
Exactly.
Um and yeah, I think it's a really like that point when I read it, like it didn't hit me really until you started talking about it. I was like, oh no, it's really fucking clear. Like
Hmm.
because I do think that like there are a lot of people that would just like feel their gut and be like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not good
that's
enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't know
exactly,
enough.
which is
I'm
the narratives.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not, it's not reality. And yeah, so it's just helpful. I will say it's very, very important to make sure you have a safe person though, because I've also been in the scenario where you're running things by someone who has a motive, and
True.
that isn't obviously going to be good for you. And your gut
Hmm.
can be saying something else, and you're like, but who do I trust and whatever. And like, it is important to be able to trust yourself. And then also, the more I've practiced this, obviously, like, I can kind of recognize the difference now more, like I just think you can start to really trust yourself a lot more the more practice you do. But yeah, I found that to be a really good point of not just blindly trusting your gut all the time, because sometimes you could be operating from a place of false narratives and old triggers or things
Right.
like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, Bonnie Hammer was an amazing guest. The book is called 15 Lies Women Are Told at Work and the Truth We Need to Succeed. I also am like Bonnie and believe that men could benefit greatly. You really enjoyed the podcast, so I'm assuming
Hmm.
you would really enjoy the book as well. So this is not just for women. We're saying men and women can go read it. I think she just speaks from the perspective of a woman, obviously. And like she said, her publisher wanted to market it more
There you
specifically.
go.
But you guys can reach out to us at theedge@velvetsedge.com. You can hit me up on Instagram. I'm at Velvet's Edge. Chip.
I'm at Chip Dorsch. It's ChipDorsch.
And did you notice that I got the Velvet's Edge podcast Instagram up,
I
Chip?
sure did.
We are up and running. So go check us out there. It's going to be a lot more intensive, with just more information about the podcast. So, about each podcast, we're going to have like different prompts for you guys on there, and different things that you can kind of work with, like tangible tools that we get. I love a tangible tip. I'm always saying that on the podcast. So, those will also be on that social media just to make it more streamlined, make it more easy for you guys to access and to keep up with us and this podcast and to engage with us. Like, we just need a space where we can all talk to each other, I feel. So, anyway, at Velvet's Edge Podcast is that Instagram, and go follow and talk to us and message and let us know what you guys are thinking and feeling and living. And yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop now.
All
As you
the
go, and
ings.
all the ings, as you guys go into the weekend and you're living on the edge, I hope you always remember to.
Act casual.
Okay, y'all, bye.
Bye.